Hi everyone, Linda and I are
Hey,
back.
everybody.
We're back to discuss the situation which, at the moment is looking pretty grim. I'm not liking it at all, watching what this guy is.
Well, he stopped SNAP and Medicaid and all this. I'm not a fan of Nancy Pelosi's anymore, but they're doing stuff right now, filing charges more or less, that he can't overstep Congress, that he can't just with executive pen say, you don't get this. And these are things that have to be done a certain way. And apparently, I haven't seen the link yet, but it has been reversed. Apparently, his people reversed it. I don't know what they said or what they did. So people will, because he was stopping Friday. So if you're expecting a SNAP check, why would he want to hit poor people?
Oh, that's the way he is. Trump is a mean-spirited.
Jesus.
He doesn't care. I mean, you can't forget what you already knew, that he's a narcissistic, malevolent. A lot of people have labeled him a malignant narcissist, sociopath. I mean, as soon as you hear that, you're thinking this is like some escapee from a mental asylum, and you're assuming he's going to be nice to you. No, he's going to do what he feels.
But a lot of these are his people. This is the red hats in the poor states that to qualify for SNAP, you got to be poverty.
Yeah, well, but that's the whole point, is that governing a big country is very difficult, because if you pull a string here, something else gets altered, right? So,
Mhm.
for example, he goes on and on and on about tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. Tariffs mean that those things have to cost more because they come in more expensive. What's the company that is selling them going to do? They're going to eat the tariff? No, they're going to pass some or all of it to you. So that's a consequence. Or you probably already heard, he starts throwing immigrants out. Well, then now they're not picking the fruit. Pretty soon, oranges and apples are going to cost more. People will see this. So as they see it, the usual response is they start to get mad at whoever is running the show, because he can't keep saying, oh, it's not me. No, it is you. Because, they don't just magically go up. It's because there's a consequence to what you're doing.
And he's using these big planes that are costing $80,000 a pop.
The which?
He's using the big military planes
Oh,
that are
yeah, no, for
costing
sure.
the taxpayers $80,000 a pop.
Right. But I mean, in the astrology right now, he's riding the excess Jupiter. Jupiter's the expansion principle. So
Mhm.
he's really confident and really pushing forward
Yeah, it
without
feels
any
like that.
restraint. Okay, now, like any day, the Saturn gets stronger and stronger each day as we go toward April. Let's see. I'm watching this carefully to see how well does this guy deal with this. Typically, anybody feels pressure. The pressure goes up and up. Not to mention that it's in that zone where it can really affect his health, right? And
Right.
right now, it doesn't look like that. He's super confident. He
You can see
thinks
it in the chart. Yeah.
sky's the limit, right? But let's see, right? I have to see, first of all, I mean, if he gets to April and he's still on his feet, that is a bit of a victory, right? Then we have to wait for another pass of and the planet will come back again late in the year, et cetera, even more next year. But there's an opportunity here to see, okay, how far is he going to take this? Because the one thing with Saturn, any person, when you experience it, it cuts you back. It always moves in and says, no, you're exceeding your boundaries. You're going too far. And it can be,
And like we said, if he's cutting out the things the most poor people need,
mhm.
a lot of those people are his members. Those are the ones that love him.
Yes, exactly, yeah, yeah. Which is why it's entirely possible that he starts to have a lower approval rating from the entire public, right? Because
Right.
that
Well, he's
means
already dropping.
all the
Yeah.
Democrats are against you. Plus, as soon as you add 10, 15%, you're in that danger zone, right? So then that's, then we'll see. Then we'll see how he navigates from there. And bottom line to all this is that by the system we have, unless some big cataclysmic thing happens to change it, Next stop is every election from now until the midterms. There's an opportunity every time, to make your voice heard.
Yeah.
That's all you got. I mean, unless you're an activist, maybe you're a person that works in the political industry, in which case you can do certain things, or if you're involved in social justice and you can participate that way. But if you're not, if all you have is the vote, then vote. That's it. That's the one place where we can bring them
Right.
to account, right?
So, Marcel said, is there anything in astrology that points to our democracy coming out alive from this?
Well, let me put it this way, because by the way, this I did say numerous times in the last 2 years, except that I probably should have listened to my own message because I knew it was true. But I thought, like we're in the cycles of the Second World War, and there are echoes to the Civil War. Well, those were periods which were quite destabilizing, right? The world was adjusting in a new direction. And I'm telling you that if you were back there, that was no fun at all. Whoever was living through that was probably feeling pretty tense. But then the world switched directions, and then we went from there. We're there again. So there's uncertainty in the air. You probably have been hearing this thing about how China now appears to have better AI than the US. So there's all this talk about
Oh
how
yeah, we
maybe
lost
we're
$1 billion
losing.
yesterday.
Exactly. So there's a potential realignment happening. I'm not ready to concede. I'm not buying that theory that some have that China is the next major empire. Maybe, but I'm skeptical of that view unless I start to see that it really, really goes in that direction. But the main point is that we are in a period that is it would, no matter who were there, no matter who you put in charge of whatever, where the planets are, is destabilizing, right? And it's why the country is where it is. We're in this place where people don't know what's going to happen next. And to me, the first thing you do with that is calm yourself. That settle yourself down, stay calm, because if you're not calm, you won't make good decisions. And they could include. I mean, imagine in Europe if you were in the 1940s and you lived in Germany. The smart Jews probably thought, you know what, I'm leaving. This isn't cool. Find a boat,
Well, there was a lot of them that said, I'm getting out of here.
Exactly. And then there were a lot of them that didn't. And this is
Because
where,
no, it won't be that bad.
exactly. So my model, my understanding of reality is that if a person is calm, a person is centered, they are much more likely to hear their guidance, hear something that says, you know what?
That's true. That's very
Dangerous.
true.
Get out of here. That's the key. If you start telling me I'm overwhelmed and I'm feeling psychotic all day long, that's not a good sign. Correct it, and maybe don't watch as many negative news because that's what they'll do to you. Every time you see something, I mean, it's really disheartening, when you see, look, he just cut off aid to poor people. Now he's telling us that the military turned the taps back on. What taps? What's he talking about? This is what he does.
I sent the military in to turn on the taps in California. You're welcome, California. And then everybody's saying, no, he didn't.
No, he's a troll. Trump is a troll. He's a professional troll. His expertise is that he takes advantage of people's mental weakness. That's what he does. He knows, well, if I say something really provocative, I'm going to upset the people that don't like me. Good. That's what I want to do. I'm going to say something that will get under their skin and make them mad. Your role is don't let that happen.
Yeah, because they like that. They like that. Yeah, like every time he tries to pull anything Biden did, people are jumping out their seats.
Yeah, including like anything we do between now and the next election to protect the election, to have people vote, remember that in the end, the differences are tiny. The country is very divided. There is no mandate. This is a made-up story that he's creating. He doesn't have a mandate. He's pretending that his half has more power than the other half. No, it doesn't. No. The other half is really angry. And he now is in charge of the government. And whoever, it doesn't matter who you put there. You can put Jesus himself. The country would be upset with whoever's in charge because it's so difficult to give everyone everything, which is why, look at the historical, every single time there's a midterm election, it tilts to the party that's not in power. Always. It always goes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But, he's hurting his people. He literally cutting, especially the real poor people.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care. That's what gets me.
Well, he doesn't care until with Trump you see that when he's doing something, if the pushback is harsh enough, then he backs down, and he shifts
Yeah,
direction.
I've seen him do that.
Yeah, yeah, and so the other thing he does is he opens a lot of fronts. So he's got the Panama, Greenland, and then he's got all the tariffs, and then he's got all kinds of things happening all at once. That's another dangerous approach because it's hard to control everything. Now it's going to be that maybe he tries to clamp down on the media, right? Whoever speaks
Oh,
against
he's
him.
talking about taking care of Rachel Maddow.
Yeah, right. But Rachel Maddow can go on YouTube. She doesn't have to be on MSNBC. So then what are you going to do? Clamp down on YouTube? Like, where does this stop? It's really, really hard. Now, if you believe that the country's going to fall apart, well, then I suppose. But that's a much harder task than
Yeah.
just saying.
And even Target, who cut their DEI stuff, they're changing their minds because the community was so mad at them. So, we don't have to purchase things from Target. We don't have to buy Starbucks.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's another thing that's going to happen. I mean, we're in the first week, right? But you can count on, as time is passing, people start to understand, okay, this is what we're going to do, and then you get resistance to the rule that he's trying to implement, right? And
I was watching a video. I don't know why I got this thing to watch on Sharon Tate. I was curious about her son. I'm not going to ask you to look at it. She was born in 43.
she was murdered, right?
Yeah, she was murdered. But the astrological aspects of her chart, you couldn't see that in August she was going to be murdered unless you look at the progressives. And that showed something, some Uranus versus something. That showed the aspects, but you really got to look deep. I mean, astrology is difficult. There's no way you can just look at somebody's chart and say, oh, be careful, you'll be murdered August 6th. That just doesn't happen.
No.
But I was curious, because she was pregnant and she lost her baby too.
What was that? When did she die? Was it 69?
August 6, 69.
69. Yeah, well, see, that's the thing, right?
Aquarius. She was an Aquarius.
Right. So, okay, so I'm looking at her chart because there's a time chart. August 6, 69?
Yeah,
Okay, so I'm not sure why. Who said that there was no astrology for that?
Nobody said that. I even have her time of birth and everything.
August 6. Okay, so that's textbook astrology. Textbook astrology, because she's an Aquarius with the sun in the death house, and Saturn was squaring it. That is when you can lose your life. Yeah, okay, well, so that's the house where Saturn
she was
is.
born at 5 in the evening in Dallas.
5:47 p.m.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so that's classic. Saturn was doing a direct square to that sun in the death house. In the case of Trump, Saturn is in the death house doing things to his ascendant, like really a major point, similarly as well, right? People do really well until they don't. It's just that when
I keep hearing caution on him. I keep feeling somebody behind closed doors, I don't know if it's in the United States or elsewhere, is out for him.
Correct. But see, the other thing about this is that, to my understanding, is you have to behave as though it may not happen right away. You may have to hang on longer than you want, right? I've seen this in astrology as well. Like Sharon Tate, her case is pretty textbook. But I've seen cases where, for example, the really negative thing happens and the person dies 6 months later. Or there are cases where, for other reasons, it gets extended. So you have to be patient because otherwise you'll lose heart. You'll start saying, well, it should have happened. Look, the astrologer said that it's hard in February.
Well, you could tell by my chart, you could see where I got cancer.
Yeah, that was
You could tell that aspect.
That's Saturn. That period was because your Virgo, Saturn was in your sign, right? And your sun sign is in the health house. So therefore, that's one of the things that can happen. I mean, another thing could have been, suppose that hadn't happened to you. And this is where astrology is very slippery. What you would have said might have been something like, no, I didn't. I'm fine, but I'm working as a nurse and it's really hard work right now. And I don't like the people that I'm working with and I wish I could quit. That's another way that Saturn could have shown up, right? But for you, it showed up at an escalated level. But then you can say, yes, and it changed my life because it was painful, which is another thing that happens a lot in astrology. Your toughest times can turn into your best times.
Oh, that's what
If you,
happened with me.
yeah, if you stay calm and you maintain your faith, just keep moving forward. Don't
Yeah.
start throwing negativity around. Oh, it's over. Nothing more I can do. Yeah, you say that, you're going to go down. You're going to go down
Yeah.
in flames.
Well, you create what you think. So if you're always thinking that you're poor, guess what? You're always poor.
Yeah,
Think
that's
you're
exactly
fat,
it.
you're always fat. If
Right,
you
but okay, but here it is. What you just said. Okay, you create what you think. That's when a person understands the contraction and the expansion force. Like Saturn is focus. Focus on what? Focus on positive. Jupiter. Then you get that. But if you don't do that and you're focusing on negative, your Jupiter will show up as you find relief by eating a lot of food, drinking, having fun, and then your life isn't going to improve. It'll
right,
constantly go down. The key thing is always stay positive because then you'll make better decisions. Stay positive and stay
and
calm.
be in grace. Yeah.
Right, and then the odds improve. Right, and by the way, if people think, well, why do you say that about astrology? Here's the example. Explain to me if that isn't true. How twins, if you see the charts of twins, they're essentially identical, right? So why does one twin get a different response from life than the other? And I've seen this with my own eyes, by the way, where twins are one of the twins is really suffering and the other one is fine. It's because each twin will do the planets a little differently. And so the twin that is having a hard time, something in their life that they did with their planets is now attracting that fate, where the other twin isn't getting that at that point, right? So
Right.
it shows you that your free will is interacting with your planets, right? And so the trick is use your free will in the smartest way, which is stay calm and stay positive. Then your life will be okay. If you start losing that, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
I always thank the cancer for coming because it changed my life.
Yeah, right. And here too, you could say, well, all right, yes, it's true. There is a possibility that the U.S. democracy could fall apart. I My sense is that it's being severely tested at the moment, obviously, but it's like a painful thing that can help the country to go in the right direction and maybe make the changes that are really needed.
Well, when
To
I
the
told my
system.
guides why did you have him win? You told me different. They said, Linda, man has free will. And they said his people need to see who he really is. And of the biggest group of people he's hurting right now, it's his own people.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, both sides. I mean, I'm both. If a person
And he's already playing
has
golf.
less
You know, not
resources.
even a week, and he's already at the golf course.
Yeah, yeah. And this is where people, they're always giving him credit for being this really smart guy. He's not that smart. He's just a really good con man. He's very, very good at understanding how to anger people. He pushes those buttons all the time. And all these people, all these thugs, it never ends well for them. You just got to wait them out long
It
enough.
always ends up bad. It always
Always,
is. Look at Mussolini.
well, or Hitler. I mean, Hitler thought it's funny. I mean, I often say to people, what happened with Hitler is he got the exact opposite. He was hell bent on killing all the Jews. That was his thing. I'm going to kill them all. Well, if you looked into the future put in the time machine, what he would see is that now, because of him, Israel started, number one. So now they have a home. And by the way, what do they have? They're armed to the teeth. Go ahead. Who's got more power now, Germany or Israel? And by the way, Israel is smart. They're allied with the U.S., right? So hard, much harder. Now, I'm not saying that that makes them good overall. Don't mistake what I'm saying. I'm just saying that from the vantage point of Hitler, he got the total opposite of what he wanted to, because he thought, I'm going to make Germany bigger, expanded, and I'm going to kill all the Jews. No, you're not. I mean, yeah, now that was awful. It was awful what happened, but the result was the expansion of Israel, and now Israel is misbehaving too. I understand that. That's
Yeah.
part of it,
But
part of the
listen,
thing.
I watched a show, a 6-part series of why the Nazis lost the war, besides the craze like what he's doing now that he put in office. The other thing was he spent so much money building those camps, getting the Jews, gays, whoever, gypsies, whoever, and American servicemen in those camps and killing them and staffing them and all this stuff. They spent so much money, they were broke before they knew it. Then they were buying cheap stuff to make planes and tanks that were worthless.
Well, and also he like in a way like Trump, he was opening fronts. He was battling the West, then he started battling Russia. Then he
Yes,
had two different fronts. Then there was the South. So he was doing everything all at once. You know, the mark of a person who's
that's
not a good
that's Trump.
organizer, which is also what Trump is. Trump is really bad at managing and organizing. He thinks he's good, but that's what narcissists always. A narcissist always thinks he knows everything, and you know nothing, right?
And they
And
don't want to hear the truth.
they don't want to hear it, and they always back their people and attack. I mean, look, he's going after Republicans that didn't support him 100%. That guy on that committee was pretty much pro-Trump. He just didn't. This one thing that he didn't believe as much, boom, he gets rid of him because he wants them all to be loyalists, right?
And all the people who are working for the civil service people, they have to prove they're loyal to him. Who does that?
Yeah, but you know what happens, right? No matter what, you can think you can control everything, but there will always be people that get in there that are not on your side, and they're going to be a problem. That
They
happened in
might
the war
lie
too.
on the application and say, "Oh yeah, I'm totally pro-Trump."
Yeah, I mean, when you're dealing with
You got to
thousands,
feed your family and kids. You'll say anything. Doesn't mean you believe it.
that's right, that's right. But again, it drives people nuts because I still think it's going in the right direction. It's just that I underestimate it if I say, look, we're in Civil War territory or we're in World War II territory. That's easy to say when you look at a history book. Go back there and tell me what that was like. Even say the Civil War in the 1860s, that couldn't have been fun. There would be mothers, fathers with their child fighting in the war, losing the child. In the Second World War, even worse. But things did change. They went, in the right direction. Now, if you are really negative about America, I mean, right now, yeah, I mean, most people would say, wow, your country is really having a hard time because
Oh yeah.
everybody's arguing with everybody. It's true. Yeah, it's true. But I think with this crew, it's what you said. Until you see them up close, people won't really realize, right? And by the way, there is a possibility. I can't take this off the table because there might be a war with a foreign country. That could happen. I hate to tell you, that happened in the Second World War because there was this thing that we couldn't agree. I mean, how can you
Right.
not? When America was trying to stay out of the war, then Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, and so then they had to enter the war. But it was for a good cause. It just was.
Well, I'm going to tell you, and I'll talk about this on my show. I'm going to do it after you, but I had a hit before I even came on here. I see Trump working to try to do some sort of preemptive strike or some sort of strike, working with Hedgehog, and I saw something like he may. I hope it's not something like Greenland or something, but I see him creating some sort of chaos, but these people won't put up with it and they strike back. I saw that psychically. I don't know for sure. I don't know, it's entertainment purposes only, but I saw him talking to Hedgehog and trying to come up with his plan. Now, I don't think the military is all kumbaya and going to work for him like he thinks they will.
Well, that's also entirely possible. Yeah, yeah.
They
And
work
this
for
is
the Constitution. They don't work for a king.
yeah, and this is where you look at the astrology patterns, and so for example, being denied your impulses, that's more of a Saturn thing, and that I notice does get them whenever the Saturn is around. Whereas the Jupiter, it helps this guy a lot. When I look back at 2024. Things were going miserably for him until Jupiter entered his sign. Then they got a lot better and they brought him into the presidency. But that's not always necessarily the end. You have to be super careful because I've looked at many, many, many charts where Jupiter sends the false signal where it draws you in, and because it's all your greed and your over-expansive behavior, and then you run into the brick wall, afterwards. And Jupiter can even become the death planet all by itself. It's the one that takes you out. Like when Hitler finally had to end his own life, Jupiter was actually in a helpful aspect, but when you look back, Jupiter was what caused them to overexpand in the war. Like it was really present when he thought, okay, let's go, go after Poland, go after Austria, and he didn't know then. He thought it was going great. People were throwing flowers at him. Look, they're welcoming me. This is a sign, right? And then, in typical numbskull narcissist fashion, remember they tried to kill him. He was in a meeting and someone planted a bomb, and he survived that. And he told all his cronies, "Oh, this is a sign that now things are going to go better." No, it's not. It's a thing that it's a sign that they're falling apart. And you have to recognize which is which. And usually, people like this aren't good at that because everything is like they have big heads. They're not really hearing any guidance. They think they've worked it out all by themselves.
They said the first thing he did in the morning was look at all media newspapers to see what they're saying about him.
You're talking about Trump now?
Hitler.
Oh, Hitler. Yeah, no. Hitler was very similar. Very similar. He was very good at manipulating the media. Because remember, around that time when technology was increasing, so he was doing a lot of photographs of himself, looking really powerful and things like that. The same thing that Trump does all the time, right? But these people always come to a bad end. You just have to be patient enough.
Well, the good news, when this guy goes down, he's really damaged a lot of his own people.
Yeah. And, the only thing is, I really encourage people to, calm yourself down, stay focused, and just think about the next step in the plan. Don't give in, by not giving in, I don't mean be like in war mode all the time. It's the opposite. Stay calm so you know what to do. That's really important, as I see it.
Oh, have you taken a look-see at Elon Musk recently?
Yeah, Elon Musk, and I don't know why yet, but I know that his February is pretty rough, right? But to be fair, he has some great easy energy as we move toward the summer because Jupiter will go into his sun sign and odds are pretty good in his favor. But this is the thing about astrology. I get my sense of where it's going to go I'll see what he does now. Let me see what he does with this in February because this is a pushback. Saturn is doing it to him, right? Then depending on that, I'll see where it goes. And then if I do look into the 26 period, I think I said this in one of my videos, both he and Trump are in a much more difficult place relative to an election then, right? It's not good. It's not good. And then if you say to me, well, yeah, but look, he just cheated or manipulated the last one. Well, maybe or maybe not, but you know what? Let's see how he cheats with Saturn being where it was. That's what he couldn't do in 2020. When the Saturn is really close,
that's good news.
You're not able to do it, right? So we just have to realize they're now in charge, and the people in charge get all the pressure. It's every government. Tell me any government that didn't, whether it was Obama in '08 or the only president that kind of got away with a little more was George W. Bush because there was that terrorist hit. And then everybody was on his side. That's the exception, right? But every other president, they always take a big hit in the next election because people realize, oh yeah, this guy was promising this, promising that. He can't really deliver. He's not doing it for me. And it's in the numbers.
Have you taken a look at Hedgehog?
What's Hedgehog?
Pete Hedgehog?
Oh, Hegseth?
Oh, is that his name?
Yeah, he's another one that I can't quite get a clear read because, okay, unlike when I look at Sharon Tate, that's the actual chart. That's to the minute. Okay, so because by the way, this is California. In California, those time records are public, so all California people, you can get this, right? But Hegseth, I don't know. All I know is the day, birth day. So drawing those charts, those planets, it's a bit strange because what got him in is Jupiter. Same thing. He's another person with a lot of Jupiter now, but there's a lot of surrounding really hard energy, and I'm wondering what that means because he might go the way of Mike Flynn. He might not last all that long. That's one possibility. Or he just gets in trouble as time passes, And
the military won't put up with him.
It's possible, yeah.
He's a Air National Guard coming in there trying to act like a 5-star general. The military can take you down.
Oh, no, for sure. And anytime you see division in your enemy's camp, it's good. Let them fight with each other. and like on any like military against military, whatever. I mean, it's dangerous too, though. I mean, when you hear
Yeah.
that the military is
Yeah,
turning
I
against the
have some
Secretary of
friends
State.
that were in the military and especially like in Vietnam. And if somebody was cray and trying to kill them by making bad calls, yeah, something would happen and he'd be gone.
Yeah, yeah,
They don't mess.
exactly. So I don't have a clear read on him, but he's another one that I'm going to track carefully with what I have, for the next
Yeah.
while. And then, with a lot of this is also a message that I want people to hear is you be aware of what's going on. Obviously, you have to know. If you don't know, for example, if they start talking about whatever it is, social security, whatever, then pay attention. But don't go too deep into that, or you'll start to get really depressed.
Have to breathe through it as much as you can.
Yeah.
Vibrationally be at peace. And the good vibrations are the ones that we cling on to. He's just so, I don't think he knows what he's doing. He just wants people to kiss the ring. He just really does.
Yeah, no, that's what he is for sure. And it's the you always, in the astrology you see the vibration. Speaking of vibration, how is that planet vibrating? He expresses the low end of the planets, right? So the idea of being overconfident, Jupiter, overexpansive, Jupiter, but it's a lucky energy. That's why he got in. But is it lucky? We're going to find out, right? Because
Yeah,
just because you got something does not guarantee anything. This happens sometimes to people when they make a relationship and they think, that's it. Now I'm in paradise. I found the perfect person.
we even have
A year
other
later, they're
countries
telling you,
just,
oh my God.
we even have other countries just saying, we got to cut US out. They're not our friends anymore.
Yeah, I mean, when all is said and done, it's a complicated game. I mean, even if you're the biggest, you need your connections. This has been the argument since the Second World War. The U.S. has been really powerful because of all the alliances, which, by the way, the U.S. chart shows. The U.S. chart does much better when it allies with other nations, because that's what
Right.
the U.S. chart tells you. All the Cancer planet, like all those planets in the U.S. chart are in the relationship part of the chart, right? But as an example of a counterpoint right now, the Pluto is on the other end, right? So the Pluto is I, my, me. I'm going to do my own thing. It doesn't work out in the end, but it can take a while.
Yeah.
We have to, even if it doesn't turn out to be this way. I think everyone should steel themselves with the possibility that the next election is in 2028. Maybe something else happens, sure, but if it doesn't, you got to stay calm that long. I mean, you almost have to pretend, okay, there might be someone like you who is a rabid Trump supporter and they spent 4 years hating everything they were seeing. Now they're happy. Well, sure, then they'll be unhappy later. I mean, you just got to stay the course. I can't think
Yeah.
of a better argument, as I see it.
What'll help also is to take a look in 18 months when we have that midterm and see how blue it goes.
Yeah, no, and the other thing is, I mean, whenever a side loses, it's easy to say, "Oh, this person is bad. This person is bad. Oh, they're all terrible." Maybe, but maybe they're not as terrible as you think, and they are going to react. You're going to see AOC, you're going to see Schumer, you're going to see Hakeem Jeffries, you're going to see all the Democrats figure out what's happening and start to craft their message.
Right.
And it's the oldest, by the way, the oldest truth in the book is that it's easier to craft those messages when you're not in power because you can just say, you're doing it
Sure.
wrong. The party in power can never get across to people. No, I'm actually doing pretty well. No, you're not. Look, see, the
Oh,
price of
that
eggs.
Mike Johnson is a joke. Oh my God, he's
Yeah,
so.
he's
And they're gonna go at here. We got the prices of groceries. Eggs are now $10 a carton, and he's gonna get into how we're gonna go after Joe Biden.
yeah, and we'll see. This is where,
How does that help people's groceries?
well, it
They
doesn't.
got
And
nothing. They can't do anything. They can look till the cows come home. They got nothing. Oh,
well,
we want
no,
to look into his pardons.
worse than that. If you're playing around with tariffs, as an example, or tariffs or lots of throwing out immigrants, prices will go up for sure
Oh, for
because
sure. They're
with
not
these.
showing up to pick things. Some immigrants aren't showing up, and you know what? So what? I hate to say it, lettuce will be $10 a head.
Well, whatever it is, it doesn't make the president look good, and he always wants to look good. Now, look what happened yesterday. The stock market took a big dive because of the Chinese news and all that.
Yeah,
He doesn't want the stock market to go down. He wants it to stay up. So the stock market reflects the economy. If there start to be problems in the economy, it'll go down. It's very hard to control. It's like a game of
right.
whack-a-mole, right? You think
Well,
you're really
wait till
brilliant.
February 1st when the taxes start. He's going to hit Canada and Mexico with taxes,
Yeah, well, the tariffs,
and
yeah, and
that's
then
when you're going to see another drop.
yeah, that's exactly the point. And there's also the Uranus cycle. We're near a station, and we already saw last year big development, shocking, unexpected things happen, right? So that's there, as one of the factors that could bring in really unexpected news. Even if you thought, well, that I thought about that, I thought that it could happen, but when it happens, you still go, really, wow, amazing. So yeah, we're in that zone. And having said that, though, the central message is keep yourself together. It's really important because, by the way, when you don't keep yourself together, you don't feel good, right?
Right.
That's the bottom line. You feel terrible. So what is life
Yeah.
for? Not a good idea. And by
Well,
the way,
I just really pray for the people that won't get funds or medical care. He's cutting out, so if you
it's true.
don't have any care and you go to the hospital, too bad.
It's true.
Hospitals can push you out.
Right. And the thing about staying together, if every Democrat did this, and of course they never will, because I know, no one is going to, it's not possible. But the more Democrats stay together and calm, the more likely we are to restore our power sooner rather than later. I know
Okay.
that seems like a mystical, no, it's the idea that the collective consciousness of Democrats is calm and centered and together, and then we all act in unison rather than saying things like there's no hope, it's over now. That's kind of defeatist. Don't do that. And plus, it's
I
bad for
know it's
you.
hard. It's hard because I try to calm people down that are going crazy, and I totally understand their angst. But it's just like, just wait for it. It's about ready to happen. I can't give it time, but I know this too shall pass.
Yeah, it definitely does, and I think it passes sooner when the good people are holding it together. That's my sense. That's what I would say. Plain and simple. So
Okay, my friend. Well, we almost an hour.
yeah, no, it was as usual.
It flies by.
It flies by exactly. So we'll resume soon because I think if I had to say, I'm betting that the next 2 weeks, this week and then at least I would say two more. I think we're going to see some really unusual stuff happen. Because why? Because whenever planets are stationing in the sky, it's one of the things that you always see. Like for example, when I see an event, something like remember that submersible in 2023 that
That
went
blew up.
underwater and blew up and died, and you look at the ephemeris for the planets, and Saturn was near its station. So then that's the planet. Or say someone dies or some big event, and you look for the station, and that station tells you the keynote. The station meaning the planet is either going to go direct, coming out of retrograde, or going retrograde at that point, right?
Okay.
And right now, two planets are stationing, Jupiter and Uranus. So that signals major stuff. Now, some of it is already happening because those stations are already in play. So some of it's outrageous. You have this guy doing these things. That's part of it, but that's not the only thing. There's going to be more. Some of it will be unexpected to him, right? Because
Yeah.
it covers, yeah, exactly. So I would say from here to mid-February, put your seatbelt on because, it's going to be intense. Yeah,
You heard it
exactly.
here, everybody.
Yeah, and for some people too, the people that have been a bit held back and feel like their progress got stalled, now Jupiter going forward is going to help that
Oh, good.
because it removes, you just feel better. You feel better. That's the bottom
I
line.
see justice. I see a lot of lawsuits that he thinks he can beat that he won't. I see surprises even from the SCOTUS. Like the 14th Amendment thing that he just thinks that it doesn't matter if you were born here, you need to go. And I feel that'll get turned over by the Supreme Court.
Yeah, you know, and the thing is that the thing with Trump, to keep this in mind, that part of what he's doing is he signs an executive order saying something crazy, and then his people think, oh, see, he solved the problem. No, that's just him signing something. And then if the executive order is pushed back, maybe Fox doesn't even carry that much. His people won't even think about it. He's just getting the immediate result. Yeah, look, see, he's solving the problem. Like,
Right.
they should be asking, why aren't they asking? I thought you said you were going to make concentration camps for the immigrants. Where do you see any concentration camps? So far, they're going around, you know, in different
And that's the
places.
sad part about the media, not Fox. I don't watch Fox. All of them, MSNBC. Every other minute that guy is saying something, they're posting it. It's like we got to just stop even looking.
Yeah, because it's one of his favorite tactics. He uses that to destabilize you. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, so we'll reconvene soon and we'll say
Okay.
goodbye for now. Bye, everyone.